Hello traders and welcome to Evo X, the Evolution Markets Advanced Lower Time Frame Entry Model Strategy. Now before I go into the content, I want to go over a small disclaimer on this strategy. Evolution X has been built based on 8 years experience in the Forex market. It has set rules to follow, however, requires a level of skill only an experienced trader can develop. Therefore, it's advised only to apply this strategy if you have 3 or more years Forex experience to date and are willing to put the work in to learn it inside and out. This strategy does not require a vast amount of time to trade, however, it does require more attention to detail and more mental capacity compared to the Power of Two strategy. Therefore, if you have a busy lifestyle and limited cognitive functioning, it is suggested you do not apply this strategy. This is a multi-time frame strategy with compromises of the daily, 4-hour, 1-hour, 15-minute, 5-minute, and 1-minute timeframes, heavily focusing on trend, liquidity, and market timing. Now, this is not a replacement strategy for the Power of Two, but one that can be applied alongside the Power of Two using a separate trading account. If you have limited chart time or work away from home and don't have access to a laptop or a computer during trading hours, I highly recommend you stick to a higher time frame strategy like the Power of Two and do not implement one like this. This is not a replacement strategy. This is almost a top-up. If you are looking for an advanced entry model strategy, and if you want to make 10, 15% a month rather than 2 to 5% a month, this is designed for that. This is an additional growth strategy. This is not a replacement, and it's definitely not one for those that have busy lifestyles, that work away from home, like I say, that are trading from their phone. You cannot do that with this strategy. And if you are too early in the game, I want you to have more experience, stick with the Power of Two, stick with it for 6 to 12 months at least before you move into something like this. Or if you've got 2 to 3 years Forex experience, that's great. Just make sure you're not rushing into it like a new shiny object syndrome, because it's not that. It's not about that. So I'm going to go through some of the contents of the course and what you can expect. So after the introduction, we're going to go through basic theory, which is going to give you literally that. It's going to give you the basic theory from start to finish, how we utilize the time frames in a nutshell, and overrun some of the strategies and how we use price action, what indicators we use, what kill zones we use, etc. And just move from step to step to give you a bit of an idea before we delve deep into the details of the strategy. We're going to cover which kill zones and which pairs I'd recommend, which time frames to use, what indicators and draw tools I use personally and why I recommend, how to trade around the news. Then we're going to go into strategy theory, which is diving deep into the charts. We're going to go over some live chart examples. We're going to run through the strategy from a top down, giving many examples of entries and going through every single time frame, every single indicator, every single rule on the edge to develop, and making sure you know it inside and out like the back of your hand so you can go and develop some backtesting data. We're going to go over the rules and the actual trade plan step by step, word by word. I'm going to cover my risk management strategies for funded and for personal accounts. There will be a video on how to backtest the strategy. And finally, how to get funded, which is a video that's already out there on my YouTube channel. If you haven't already seen it, I published a funding account challenge vlog on my YouTube channel where I passed a challenge and verification, got funded with Finnative Funding using this strategy alone, and it's all documented on YouTube. Go and check it out. Now, before we go into the depths of the content, let's go over some of the fundamental basics of the strategy. Starting off with trade building. So we use daily trend, daily price imbalance to target, daily extreme supply and demand, previous daily candle closure is a big one, and then we're moving down to the 4-hour for trend and liquidity. 15-minute price commitment, 15-minute alignment with the 4-hour and utilizing the daily as well as confluence, 15-minute liquidity and reactions, before then following the 15-minute ranges, the order flow of the 4-hour ranges, and areas of interest for liquidity and targets. Once we have identified that, we have our direction, we have our timing, we have our liquidity, we have our targets. Then we can look for the execution, which is kill zone preferred but not required. So we'll go over the kill zone content in detail. but necessarily we have kill zones to use, which is higher amounts of volatility. But if you have a trade 5, 10, 15 minutes before or after a kill zone, we're not going to be just ignoring it, because that could make your month or your quarter. 15-minute liquidity, a reaction on the 15-minute chart before a 1-minute momentum shift in that same direction. And then entry model is desirable 5-minute fair value gap and refined to a 1-minute fair value gap, but that is not required, only desired. Market execution if soon after the 15-minute liquidity sweep, which is a more higher risk entry, or using limits or stop orders for a further continuation, which is more a conservative entry model, which I actually use most of the time. 4-hour or 15-minute structural range highs or lows as targets for either hard TP or taking partials. That is something that's going to be built into your own strategy and your own trading rules as an individual trader. I'm not going to be telling you you have to take profit here. That's going to be something that you're going to have to decipher for yourself. But I will go over how I do that and what I found the best practices for me. But trading is an individual sport. It is an individual business. And if you take profit at 1 to 5 and you see that trade go on to make another 15%, you'll probably be kicking yourself, especially if you just copied off someone else's strategy in terms of where to take profit, where you thought you were going to take profit further along and then you left that money on the table. This is exactly why you need to make it work for you. This is the foundation, the structure of the course and the content. You will learn this like the back of your hand, and then and only then, after you've collected data through backtesting, will you start to mold it and make it more of your own. So without further ado, let's get into the rest of the content.